The front door was cracked open when I returned. Just a few inches, enough for the warm light inside to spill across the porch. I froze. I'd only been gone 30 minutes, just long enough to grab groceries from the general store 2 miles down a mountain road. The October air bit at my face as I stared at the uneven line of the door. I knew I'd locked it. Living alone in a cabin, surrounded by forest teaches you that habit fast. 2 sets of boot prints marked the damp earth near the steps. One large pair with heavy treads. Another smaller, likely a woman's low-heeled shoes. My pulse kicked against my ribs. They'd walked right up to my home and let themselves in. I pulled my phone from my pocket, thumb hovering over 911. Logic told me to wait outside and call the cops. But this was my house, my space, my boundary. The thought of someone inside made my stomach twist. I pushed the door open. The hinges groaned their familiar creak. Then I heard voices, a man and a woman. Calm, conversational, like people taking inventory at a store. Not burglars. Not afraid. Just there. 2 strangers stood in my living room. Both wore navy blue polos with laminated badges clipped to their belts. The woman, mid-40s, had blonde hair pulled into a tight bun and a clipboard balanced in her hand. She was taking photos of my bookshelf as though cataloging evidence. The man, younger, was scribbling notes on a tablet while glancing around the kitchen. "Get out of my house before I call the cops," I snapped. My voice came out raw and louder than I expected. The woman turned, her expression perfectly calm. She didn't look startled, only mildly inconvenienced. "Mr. Thorne," she said smoothly, consulting her clipboard. "We sent notification of today's inspection. Section 4.3 of the Shadow Pine bylaws allows biannual interior assessments." I blinked, words catching in my throat. Inspection? I'm not a member of any HOA. This property isn't part of Shadow Pine. You're trespassing. Her polite smile didn't waver. According to our records, all properties within Shadow Pine boundaries fall under HOA jurisdiction. That includes this cabin. Her badge read Desiree Hawthorne, President. She pulled a crisp business card from her folder and set it on my coffee table beside a printed document. "This is your official violation notice. You'll need to register as a member within 14 days and pay the outstanding fees, including today's inspection cost, $1,700. For a heartbeat, I couldn't move. They had broken into my home, damaged my lock, taken photos, and now were handing me a bill for the privilege. They left as calmly as they'd come, the man whispering something about documentation as the door clicked behind them. Silence followed, a strange, hollow silence that made my own living room feel contaminated. I called 911. The dispatcher's tone shifted the moment I mentioned the HOA. Urgency turned to bureaucracy. "We'll send an officer to take a report," she said flatly. Deputy Winslow arrived 40 minutes later, his cruiser lights casting red and blue streaks through the trees. He was young, polite, and tired in the way only small-town officers get. I walked him through everything. How the lock was forced, how they'd introduced themselves, how they'd left documents claiming authority. He took notes, photos, asked routine questions. "Did they steal anything?" "No." "Threaten you?" "No." He paused, pen hovering. "Are you sure your property isn't part of the HOA?" That question hit like a slap. "Completely sure," I said, showing him photos of my deed. This cabin was built in 1987. Shadow Pine HOA wasn't even formed until 1995. He nodded, but his tone cooled. "I'll file a trespassing report, but if they're claiming HOA authority, it might end up as a civil matter. You might want to contact a lawyer." Civil matter. The phrase hung in the air like smoke. Translation: this won't be solved fast. When he left, the flashing lights faded through the pines, leaving my cabin dark again. I checked every window and door, then sat at the kitchen table staring at the violation notice. I pulled out the banker's box with all my property documents. Deed, survey map, title insurance, purchase agreement. I spread them across the table under the kitchen light and started cross-referencing everything like a case study. Lot 17, Pinewood Estates subdivision, established 1963. Shadow Pine HOA, incorporated 1995. Their listed boundaries covered lots 1 to 38 of Pine Valley subdivision. Different map, different development. I opened Google Earth, marked the property lines, and measured the distance. My cabin sat 212 feet outside their jurisdiction. Not even close. They knew this, which meant every word Desiree had said, every bylaw and inspection was deliberate fraud. I sent a calm, professional email to the HOA's listed address. Attached, scans of my deed and proof of boundary lines. Your organization holds no legal claim over my property. Please retract the notice and confirm in writing. 3 days passed. No reply. On the 4th day, a certified letter appeared in my mailbox. Final notice screamed across the top in red ink. The amount due, $2,200, fees, fines, and administrative costs. Failure to comply, it warned, would result in a lien and potential foreclosure proceedings. At the bottom, a notary seal and the same signature, Desiree Hawthorne. Rage burned the shock away. I opened my laptop and started digging into Shadow Pine HOA. Their website looked legitimate. Polished design, mission statement about protecting property values. But their bylaws PDF was password protected. Red flag. On a local community forum, I found the truth. 3 separate posts described almost identical encounters. Charged $800 for violations I never committed. They threatened legal action even though my property isn't part of Shadow Pine. They back off if you prove your deed, but never admit they're wrong. A pattern emerged, targeting isolated properties near their boundary, sending fake fines, using intimidation and paperwork to scare owners into paying. It wasn't a homeowners association. It was a scam dressed as one. By midnight, I had a spreadsheet open, timestamps, names, photos, every letter and email logged. Years in data analysis had trained me to build order from chaos, and this chaos had structure. I drafted a final response. To Shadow Pine HOA from David Thorne. Your organization has no legal authority over my property. The attached documentation proves my lot predates Shadow Pine HOA's incorporation. Any attempt to place a lien or pursue action will result in criminal complaints for fraud, trespassing, and extortion. CC, Deputy Winslow. I hit send. The mountain sunset bled through the trees in orange and violet. My coffee had gone cold, but I didn't care. The fear was gone. In its place was something colder, focus. They wanted to play legal games? Perfect. That was my field. Every lie leaves evidence, and I'd already started collecting theirs. Friday evening, a new flyer appeared in my mailbox. Emergency community meeting, bold red letters across glossy cardstock. Held at the Shadow Pine Clubhouse. Attendance required for all residents within district boundaries. The audacity made me laugh out loud. They still believed I'd fold, that I'd show up quietly, maybe pay the fine just to make them disappear. But this time, I wouldn't be walking in as a victim. I gathered my folders, photos, and the deputy's report, stacked them neatly into a briefcase. If they wanted a confrontation, I'd give them one, on my terms, with evidence they couldn't ignore. The night air outside was sharp and cold, the wind moving through the pines like whispers. For the first time all week, I felt calm, because Shadow Pine HOA had just made one fatal mistake. They'd gone after the wrong man's house.